Good morning, my dear children. How are you? Are you happy? Are you studying? Okay. Hope you all are happy and fine. Everybody study nicely. Today, let's revise your exam portions. You have your exam on 26th of this month. Okay, everybody study well. Today, let's revise briefly all the three lessons. The politics first lesson, history first lesson, and geography first lesson. First, let's look what are the questions in your geography lesson. First, you have first question is, I will read and explain first question. What is an ecosystem? That is the first question from your geography notebook. What is an ecosystem? What is an ecosystem? The relation between the living organism as well as the relation between the organism and their surroundings form an ecosystem. The relation between the living organism as well as the relation between the organism and their surroundings form an ecosystem. Then second question, what do you mean by natural environment? What are natural environment? Answer, land, water, air, plants and animals comprise the natural environment. Land, water, air, plants and animals comprise the natural environment. Third question is, which are the major components of environment? Major components of environment, natural. Answer, natural, human and human made environment. Major, what are the major components of the environment? Answer is natural, human and human made environment. Fourth question, give 4 examples of human made environment. What are the examples of human made environment? Buildings, parks, bridges, roads, etc. These are the examples of human made environment. Next question is, which are the two major components of biotic environment? Which are the major components of biotic environment? Answer is plants and animals. Next question, what is the difference between biotic and abiotic environment? What is the difference between biotic and abiotic environment? Answer is biotic is a world of living organism. Example, plants and animals. Biotic environment is a world of living organism. Example, plants and animals. Then abiotic is a world of, abiotic environment is a world of non-living organism. Example, land, soil, mountain, minerals, seas, etc. Then next question is, define the following. First question, environment. What is environment? The place, people, things and nature that surrounded by living organism is called environment. What is environment? The place, the people, things and nature that surrounded any living organism is called environment. Then 4 domains of the earth or 4 domains of environment. What are the 4 domains of environment? Lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere and biosphere are the 4 domains of the environment. What is lithosphere? It is the solid crust or the hard top layer of the earth. What is lithosphere? Lithosphere is a solid crust or the hard top layer of the earth. Then hydrosphere. What is hydrosphere? The domain of water is referred to as hydrosphere. The domain of water is referred to as hydrosphere. Then next one is atmosphere. Atmosphere is a thin layer of air that surrounds the air. The thin layer of air, atmosphere is the thin layer of air that surrounds the earth. Then biosphere. Biosphere is a narrow zone of air where land, water and air interact with each other to support life. What is biosphere or define biosphere? Biosphere is a narrow zone of the air where land, water and air interact with each other to support life. That's all 4 domains of earth or environment. Next one is define the following barter system. What is barter system? It is a trade in which goods are exchanged without the use of money. Barter system is a trade in which goods are exchanged without the use of money. Barter system is a trade in which goods are exchanged without the use of money. That's all. Questions from your geography lesson first. Then next, let's look what are the questions in your geography lesson first. First question, Geography not a history. History lesson 1. First question is, which period of history is known as medieval period of history? Which period of history known as medieval period of history? Which period of history known as medieval period of history? The period that lies between ancient and modern period is known as medieval period of history. The period that lies between ancient and modern period is known as the medieval period of history. The next question is, who is a cartographer? Who is a cartographer? Answer is, cartographer is a person who makes maps. Who is a cartographer? Cartographer is a person who makes maps. Next question, when were map first and map 2 prepared? When were map first and map 2 prepared? Answer, map first was made by the Arab geographer Al-Idrisi in 1054 CE. Map 2 was made in the 1720s. It was made by a French cartographer. Answer once more. Map first was made by the Arab geographer Al-Idrisi in 1154 CE. Map second was made in the 1720s. It was made by a French cartographer. Next question, who was considered a foreigner in the past? Who was considered a foreigner in the past? Answer, in the past, a person who was not a part of the society or culture was considered to be a foreigner. Answer once more. In the past, a person who was not a part of their society or culture was considered to be a foreigner. The next question, list some of the technological changes associated with the period between 700 to 1750, that is the medieval period. What are the technological changes associated with the medieval period? That is 700 to 750. That answer is Persian wheel in irrigation, spinning wheel in weaving, firearms in combat, new foods and beverages, potatoes, corn, chilies, tea and coffee. These are the new discovery of that period. Persian wheel in technological changes in that period. 700 to 1750. Answer once more. Persian wheel in irrigation, spinning wheel in weaving, firearms in combat, new foods and beverages, potatoes, corn, chilies, tea and coffee. That is the answer of that question. Next question, what does the term pan-regional empire mean? What does the term pan-regional empire mean? Pan-regional empire means the empire crossing its region and spreading over several other regions. Pan-regional empire means the empire crossing its region and spreading over several other regions. Next question, how were the affairs of Jadi regulated? How were the affairs of Jadi regulated? Answer, 4 points are there. First point, Jadis form their own rules and regulations. Jadis form, first point is Jadis form their own rules and regulations. Second point, there was an assembly of elders called Jadi Panchayat. Second point, there was an assembly of elders called Jadi Panchayat. Third one, it enforced the rules and regulations. This Jadi Panchayat enforced the rules and regulations of the village. Then fourth one is, Jadis were also directed to follow the rules of the village. Jadis were also directed to follow the rules of the village. That is the answer of 7th question, how were the affairs of Jadi regulated. Then 8th question, in what ways has the meaning of the term Hindustan changed over the centuries? In what ways has the meaning of the term Hindustan changed over the centuries? 3 points are there. First point, in the 13th century, Minhaj-e-Siraj used the term Hindustan. He meant the areas of Punjab, Haryana and the lands between Ganga and Yamuna. That is the first point. Second point, in the 16th century, poet Babar used the term Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna and the culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent. Third point, in the 14th century, poet Amir Khusro used the term Hind in the same as Babar did in the 16th century. These are the 3 points of that question. 8th question, in what ways has the meaning of the term Hindustan changed over the centuries? Then, last question, definition of patron. Define patron. Answer, an influential, wealthy individual who supports another person. Who is a patron? An influential, wealthy individual who supports another person. That's only questions from history lesson first. Everybody study well. Last one is politics lesson 1. What is the name of the lesson? Politics lesson. First lesson on equality. First question from that lesson. In a democracy, why is universal adult franchise is important? In a democracy, why is universal adult franchise is important? Answer. Democracy is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. Every adult, irrespective of caste, religion, region, sex, rich or poor people are allowed to vote. This is called universal adult franchise. Concept of universal adult franchise is based on equality. In a democracy, every citizen is equal. Democracy is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. Every adult, irrespective of caste, religion, region, sex, rich or poor, are allowed to vote. This is called universal adult franchise. Concept of universal adult franchise is based on equality. In a democracy, every citizen is equal. Then second question from politics lesson first on equality. Second question, what do you understand by the term all persons are equal before the law? Why do you think it is important in a democracy? What do you understand by the term all persons are equal before the law? Why do you think it is important in a democracy? Answer. By the term all persons are equal before the law, we understand equality. Universal adult franchise is a concept which is based on equality. Equality is the essence of democracy. If people are discriminated on the basis of their caste, religion, sex, etc., the democracy will not survive. That is the answer of that question. Answer once more. By the term all persons are equal before the law, we understand equality. Universal adult franchise is a concept which is based on equality. Equality is the essence of democracy. If people are discriminated on the basis of caste, religion, sex, rich or poor, etc., the democracy will not survive. The next question is define constitution. What is the definition of constitution? What is constitution? Constitution is a written document that lays down basic rules and regulations for people and the government in a country to follow. That is the definition of constitution. Constitution is a written document that lays down the basic rules and regulations for people and the government in a country to follow. The next question, who are allowed to vote in India? Who are allowed to vote in India? Answer is in a democratic country like India, all adults aged 18 years of age and above, irrespective of their religion, caste, education, rich or poor, are allowed to vote. Answer once more. In a democratic country like India, all adults aged 18 years or above, irrespective of their caste, religion, education, rich or poor, are allowed to vote. Next question, what is one forms of inequality in India? What is one forms of inequality in India? Answer is one of the most common inequality in India is the caste system. One of the most common inequality in India is the caste system. That is the experience of Om Prakash Valmiki. Om Prakash Valmiki is discriminated on the basis of his caste. Then, what are the two ways in which government has tried to implement the equality? Equality implement ചെയ്യാൻ രണ്ട് വഴികളാണ് ഗവൺമെന്റ് വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. First one is, answer first is through laws. Second point is through government programs or schemes to help disadvantaged communities. ആ സ്കീംസ് മിഡ് ഡേ മീൽ സ്കീം നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ചതാണ്. ലോയിലൂടെയും ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് സ്കീംസ് ആൻഡ് പ്രോഗ്രാംസിലൂടെയും ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഈക്വാളിറ്റി നമ്മുടെ രാജ്യത്ത് എൻഷുർ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. That answer is, what are the two ways in which government has tried to implement the equality? 2 points are their answer. First one is through laws, LAWS, through laws. Second point, through government programs or schemes to help disadvantaged communities. Next question is, who drafted the Indian Constitution, or who is known as the father of Indian Constitution? You know who is the father of Indian Constitution? Who is known as the father of Indian Constitution? Yes, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is known as the father of Indian Constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar drafted the Indian Constitution. Next question, whose autobiography is Judan? Whose autobiography is Judan? Answer is Om Prakash Valmiki's autobiography is Judan. Whose autobiography is Judan? Om Prakash Valmiki's autobiography is Judan. Next, which is the first state in India to introduce midday meal scheme? Which is the first state in India introduce midday meal scheme? That answer is Tamil Nadu in 2001. Tamil Nadu in 2001. That's all. Questions from these three lessons. Everybody make sure that these questions are written in your notebook. Okay. Then you study well. Study, write well. Okay. Thank you. Let's wind up the class. Okay.